Hey guys, this is God of Politics. I'm going to a brand new video, but before we get started with this video, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, join the Discord and follow me on Twitter. And speaking of Twitter, I did just see this news when I first woke up today, and that is that Mitch McConnell has blocked the motion to vote on the Democrats' $2,000 relief checks bill. Now, I just woke up and I saw this and I thought that, somewhat expected, but it honestly just seems at this point like Mitch McConnell wants to lose the Senate. Now, if you don't know, this was a bill passed by the Democrats in the House last night to change the wording of the stimulus bill to give $600 and instead give $2,000. It required a two-thirds vote in the House to suspend the normal rules which require it to go through committees, etc. like that. And it did get the two-thirds vote. It barely got the two-thirds vote, but it did get the two-thirds vote. I believe it got 275 votes out of 409 voting representatives, so it did just pass. And it did go to the Senate, and Bernie Sanders tried to bring the bill up for vote, and what happened? McConnell blocked it. He said, I object to the bill when Bernie Sanders tried to bring it up for a vote. And this will be a shorter video again, but I did want to talk about this because it is a very important news topic. But the fact of the matter is, it just seems like Mitch McConnell wants to lose the Senate at this point. He is just making not very good political moves in regards to the COVID relief. And you have the Georgia runoff that is now in, I think, just 7 or 8 days. And this is not looking good on Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue, because one thing that most people know about Mitch McConnell is that he's not only a good legislator, but he's a good politician too, as opposed to someone like Nancy Pelosi. He's a good legislator, but she's not the best politician. She often doesn't have the best optics in a lot of cases, and that does cost her party, whereas Mitch McConnell has mostly had success in the Senate since he's been the majority leader, and that is due to him being a good politician and a good legislator. But he's kind of backed himself into a corner here, and often, that's pretty much because of his own party. Donald Trump came out and supported $2,000 stimulus checks just after Democrats and Republicans reached a deal on the COVID relief bill, and so now Mitch McConnell's got himself into quite a big issue because, the optics do not look good if you vote down a COVID relief bill right before a runoff where pretty much most of the country does support this relief. And it does not look good when you are a part of the party that blocks this relief. And now you see that Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue are, instead of being in Washington after they've come out in support of the bill, after they realize that they're going to take a lot of political heat for it, they're down campaigning in Georgia. For some reason, David Perdue is in Henry County, which is a county that swung 16% to Joe Biden. Somehow he thinks he's going to get a lot of votes there, but that just really does not make any sense to me. And it just does not seem like things are going well for the Republican Party at this time. And as you can see, this morning, David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler did come out in support of the $2,000 relief checks. Kelly Loeffler said, I agree with Donald Trump. We need to deliver $2,000 direct relief checks to the American people. Perdue said, President real Donald Trump is right. I support this push for $2,000 in direct relief for the American people. And you get a situation where McConnell is only letting these senators come out in support of it because he knows that the bill is not going to pass. If he inevitably does put it up for a bill, Bernie Sanders said he's going to block the defense bill, having the veto override for it unless there's a vote on this bill. And McConnell would never put up the vote for a bill if it meant that it was actually going to pass. So you're going to need 60 votes for it to pass. You have Marco Rubio, Josh Hawley, David Perdue, Kelly Loeffler in support of it, plus all of the Democrats. That's 52 people. You're going to need 8 more people. Really, it's not much of a way to get that. Even if you get Toomey, Portman, Collins, Murkowski, that's 56. There's really not much other way that you're going to be able to get 60 people to support this bill. And that's why McConnell is allowing this all to happen. He's blocked the bill, and he sees that the optics of that are better than having the bill go up for a vote and being shot down. And even if David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler do vote for the bill, they do vote in favor of the bill if it does go up for a vote, that still doesn't look good on them when your party's the reason that it got shut down. And so, things are just not looking good for the Republican Party right now, and that's just looking at it from a political standpoint, just looking at it from the standpoint of, people are really hurting at this time, and people really do need help, and you've got millions of people unemployed, you've got millions of people that can't pay rent, and you have Mitch McConnell who's holding up relief for them just because he wants to score some political points, and he's doing that in any way that he can to get those political points, even if it means, shoving Section 230 repeal and an investigation into voter fraud in the 2020 election just to be able to put it up for a vote and have both sides vote against it, and that's somehow going to make it a bigger political win for him. But really, this is just not going well for him at all. And to prove that it's not going well for him, you can just look at the early voting statistics, and that'll tell you all you need about how it's not going well for the Republican Party. So far, we've had 2,337,477 people vote in the Georgia runoff so far. And of those voters, 31.5% of them are black voters. And that is a lot higher than it was in the general election. If we look specifically at the in-person early votes, 1.5 million people have voted early in person. 31.4% of those voters are black voters. We look at the in-person early vote in the general election, only 26.4% was black voters. And you say, oh, what about the mail-in voting? Well, that's going to be less black voters than it was in the general election. When we look at the general election, out of the 1.3 million mail-in ballots, we can see here that 30.3% of those mail-in ballots were from black voters. But we look at the runoff election, we can see here that it's 31.6%. So more black voters are turning out. But then you have the response, oh, well, what about the old voters turning out? Well, that's not going to really mean much because there isn't that much polarization as you think amongst older voters. And sure, older voters make up a little bit of a higher share of the electorate, but young voters are maintaining their share. And the young voters that are turning out are young voters that are more overwhelmingly Democrat than the general election because it's more black voters turning out. So Republicans are going to need a surge on election day that is larger than the surge they got in the general election. And when you have Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, blocking help for people in a time of need, that is not going to help turn out your voters. And some people can say, oh, it's because people are boycotting it. No, that's not what it is. It's the fact that there's been a fundamental shift in what the base of each party is. The base of the Republican Party back in 2008, when they performed 15% better in the runoff, the base of the party back then was suburbanites, high propensity suburban voters that are always going to turn out for every election. That is why they had such good wave years in 2020 and 2014, and that's why they did so well in the runoffs in the past. But now their core voter base is in areas like North Georgia, areas like South Georgia, these rural areas. They're losing the suburban voters, and those suburban voters are the voters that are always going to turn out. So on top of the fact that you have a higher black share of the electorate, you've got these suburban voters which are increasingly Democrat, which are the ones turning out, whereas the counties that have higher college educated rates, which are the suburban counties, are becoming more Democrat, and the counties with lower college educated rates are rural counties, and they're turning out less. And that is the reason why Republicans are not in a good position. And you're gonna have to have something that is going to motivate these voters to turn out. And when you're blocking relief from them, that is not going to help your party, even when your senator supports it. Because we know if David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler are reelected, we're not going to get those 2,000 checks. And maybe we even don't get it if John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock are elected. But we know that there's much better chance of that. So I did want to just talk about this. It's kind of a rant, to be honest, because this is just getting so aggravating that we have all of this gridlock in Washington, and it's all for one reason. I'm not going to say that reason, but you can all speculate what that reason is. And I don't like to give my opinion too much, but I thought that this was just so important that I did have to talk about this. It's also an early upload, but again, this was a very big news event. I did want to talk about it. So thank you all for watching this video. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also follow me on Twitter and join the Discord. Those are both linked down in the description. But again, guys, thank you all for watching this video, and I will see you guys later.